Century Spice Road. This is a game that I think I saw for the first time at Gen Con 2017. People were playing it and I was immediately, whoa, drawn in by the components that look so attractive. The production values are very high here. And I asked around about gameplay and I was told that the game is very similar to Splendor, but also includes cards, includes a little bit of a deck building engine, although after playing the game I would say it's more of a hand building engine. But that made it even more attractive because, because Splendor is one of my favorite games. It's one of my to-go default games when maybe game night is over, but not really want to play one more game when it's not too long. Splendor is often the first one that comes to mind. It took me a while. It's in December now. I'm filming this in December. It took me a while for some reason before I finally got to play the game, but finally I got to do that. So in this video I'm going to tell a little bit more about this game, which is, yes, Century Spice Road is Splendor with cards, which I think is a non-unfair characterization. And if you're wondering how that works, stay tuned because we're going to talk about that in the next segment. First, I had to tell you, the components of this game look amazing. You have large, high-quality, beautiful illustrated cards. Look at the size. This is a tarot-size cards, just very pleasant. They definitely add to the experience of playing the game. Nice. Then you have wooden cubes that come in these adorable and very thematic bowls. Paper money, no siree, metal money. This we don't see very often. You have silver coins and golden coins. I assume that is not actual gold and silver, but who knows? The deluxe versions of games these days, they just get crazy that way. But metal coins, awesome. Now in this game, each player will have a card such as this one that represents their caravan. As the game progresses, they will acquire spices represented by these cubes and they will place them on their caravan. There are 10 spaces. If at the end of your turn you have more than 10 spices there, you have to discard it down to 10. Also, speaking of the spices, there are 4 types, as you can see, which with technical names, but I use the informal names of yellow, red, green, and brown. And they need to be placed on the table in this order because their value is not the same. Yellow is the least valuable, red is a little more valuable, green is more valuable, and brown is the most valuable. Then in the middle of the table, you will place 2 lines of cards. A line of 6 cards. Yes, there's a 6th one here, which represents the place where players can acquire cards to add to their hand, and they will be able to use those cards later. And then you have another line of cards here, which represent the point cards. By discarding the combination of cubes that you find at the bottom of each point card, you get to acquire the card and you're scoring the number of points indicated there. And once you do that, then you slide the other cards down to fill the gap and you draw from the deck, so that you always have 5 available. Also, if you get a card which is under the golden pile, you get a golden coin, and if you acquire the card which is under the silver pile, again, you get the corresponding coin. At the beginning of the game, you place here next to the leftmost card and next to the one next to it, coins of each type equal to twice the number of players, so 6 for 3-player games, and so on and so forth. At the end of the game, each gold coin is worth 3 points, each silver 1 point. At the end of the game, also, each non-yellow cube is worth 1 victory point. When a player acquires their 5th card, they trigger the end of the game. Players finish the round, and then they score points based on cards, coins, and non-yellow cubes, and that's how you determine the winner. But how do we get there? Pretty easy. We take actions. Each player takes exactly 1 action during their turn. You start the game with these 2 cards. Everybody starts with the same cards. And a common action is to play a card to generate the action that is indicated in the top left corner. If I play a card of this type, then I simply acquire 2 yellow cubes, which I place in my caravan. Or if I play this card here, of course I need to acquire it first, but if I'm playing it from my hand, I get a green cube, here a yellow and a red, and so on and so forth. If I play this card, I get 2 upgrades of cubes. So that means that I can upgrade a cube from my caravan by 2 steps, that is exchanging a yellow for a green, for example, or I can upgrade 2 cubes by 1 step, so I could exchange 2 yellow cubes with 2 red cubes, or any other combination, but the idea is still 1 cube twice or 2 cubes once. You can also acquire the cards and other cards that allow you to trade cubes. Cards such as these ones that have that arrow let you trade the number and type of cubes, which is on top of the arrow, for the number and types of cubes under the arrow. So here, if I'm playing this card in front of me and I turn in those 2 cubes, I get these other cubes. Also, you can do it as many times as you can, basically as many times as you have multiples of the required resources. I could trade 4 green cubes and get 4 green, I could have 4 brown for 4 green and 6 red by using this card. When you play a card, it stays in front of you, so after a while your hand most likely will be depleted. Then what you do is you take a rest action. That's another action you can take that simply allows you to scoop up all of your cards and to refill your hand, and that is the rest action. Again, we also want to acquire cards. And the way to acquire cards is pretty interesting. If you want a certain card that is here in the line, you need to place a cube of any kind on the cards that are left to it on this line. For example, if I want this card here, then I need to place a cube here and a cube here, and I get to take this card. We slide the other ones, refill, and so on and so forth. If later I want that card, then I place cubes here and I take this card. That also means that if I'm taking a card that already has cubes on it, I also get to take those cubes. I want this card, for example, then this is what happens. And the card goes in my hand and I can use it. And I can use it my next turn. So this is pretty important. That is how you acquire cards. By the way, that also means that the leftmost card in the line is always free because it has no cards left to it. Another action that you can take, of course, is to get a victory point card, in which case the only action you can do that turn is to pay the number and types of cubes at the bottom of the card that you want, take the card, possibly take a coin, refill the line, and you're done. And that is pretty much how you play Century Spice Road. Well, apparently now I have a second to-go default game, not just Splendor or Cities of Splendor, but also Century Spice Road. It is that good. This is impressive. It gave me, you know, like gamers are often trying to recapture the first high that they got once they played one of their favorite games, but not necessarily the first time. But the first time that something clicked and they saw the design, you know, that process that happens from when you learn the rules to when you actually see gameplay. And the pleasure can be so intense that you're trying to recapture that, which is not always possible. I had this feeling here, like I'm playing Splendor for the first time again, but different, but also different. And again, by making a comparison with Splendor, I'm trying to tell how much I love Century Spice Road, not to minimize the originality, because the game feels indeed different enough that I don't feel that it is redundant in my collection, because the card mechanic really rejuvenates the system. If you like Splendor, I think you'll like this one. If you don't like Splendor, I don't know what kind of freak you are, but hey, it's a big world. We gotta all share. It's fine with me. Just maybe we don't need to meet in person. If you don't like Splendor, I don't think you'll like this game either. It's the hand management system is really good. I like that very much. I have to say, reading the rules, I'm not a big fan of games in which you take one action per round, and that action can be to basically pass, which is what you do when you collect your cards. I wasn't sure, but it works. Because it's really an obvious decision. Yes, there are times where you have no cards or one card which you can do nothing with, and you don't have any resources in your caravan, and then that's what you're forced to do. But that happens very rarely. Even that passing turn is not trivial at all, because you have to decide when to take it, when to take that turn. In many cases, even if your hand is shrinking, maybe you can buy a card. Maybe the leftmost card is still good for you. Maybe you don't have many spices, but by picking up a card which is particularly cheap, you get to collect a lot of spices that have been left there by the previous players. So I think you can go through a game by taking that passing turn. Well, you probably will have to take it once or twice or three times, but not a problem. And gameplay also, something that worried me at least potentially, was downtime. Not at all. The game, because of the one action, and because even the downtime players will have to take it from time to time, actually gameplay was moving so fast, so fluidly. I really like how smooth gameplay felt. And in many cases, okay, I take an action, then my friend goes, okay, I'm picking up my cards. Another friend, okay, I'm playing this card and taking 2 cubes. Oh, it's my turn again. Okay, I'll play this card and take these 2 cubes. That is how fast it goes. So, and in that sense, I found it to be actually faster and smoother than Splendor. Not necessarily faster in terms of gameplay. I would say probably the length of a natural game is more or less the same. It just goes around the table faster. So that is very good, because again, it gives me the high of Splendor with the gameplay that moves at a brisker pace. I really also like the interactions that you have here, which of course come from the fact that you're looking at other people's boards and you're trying to get a sense of what they're trying to achieve. And maybe you'll take a small detour if that small detour manages to create a big pain in the neck to another player by taking the victory point card that they really want, or an action card that they really want. I also like another factor that we do not have in Splendor, which is the variable cost of the cards. The fact that some cards that just came out of the deck is deliciously tempting, but it would cost me a lot of cubes because it's all the way close to the deck. And that's also gonna leave cubes there that the people can grab. Then maybe I don't want to do that. I'm going to wait until somebody buys other cards. Maybe I'll even get a free card simply to reduce the cost of that card. But what if that card is not there by the next time I play because somebody decided to be brave and to spend a lot of spices to get that one? You never had that in Splendor. Because in Splendor you can buy it or not buy it. The cost of a card is non-negotiable. You don't have that. It's almost like a silent bidding, silent auction. You do not have that element. And the fact that pretty much you can, I don't say that you can decide the cost, but you can decide if the cost is good enough, and you want to go for the card, or if you want to wait at the risk of not finding the card again when it is your turn. That is a simple element, but it adds an element of tension, an element of suspense almost that you're not finding in Splendor. I keep making a comparison because, again, I want to show you how similar and yet different these games are. It almost feels like fraternal twins. You can definitely see the resemblances, but there are different personalities, and interacting with the two fraternal twins is different. And these are two really fun fraternal twins to hang out with. They are blasts, and definitely Century Spice Road is a great game. I think I saw that there are the sets that have come out probably by now. I think I'm gonna add those to my collection because I really want to try more versions of Century if they are available, and I'm definitely gonna play this one more in the future because it gives me, guess what, the high of Splendor in a different, refreshing format, and one that actually even adds a couple of wrinkles, such as the variable cost of cards the Splendor did not have. It's fun, it's simple, it's intuitive, it can be a great gateway game. I think it should be right there with those 5-6 gateway games that we think of when we want to introduce new players to the hobby, with Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, Catan. Splendor and Century Spice Road should definitely be there because it's so simple, so intuitive, so engaging. I think anybody can play it. I haven't played it with my daughters, but I can definitely see my 7-year-old daughter being able to play this one and enjoying it a lot. Century Spice Road, a very strong design with fantastic production values. Just a great game. Just get it already if you don't have it yet, because I do believe that this game is going to become a classic right away. As soon as, I don't know how long it takes for a game to be officially nominated, named, and then promoted to the status of classic. This one deserves to be in that category, in that Olympus, because yes, it is that good.